Welcome back to Stock Tricks with Nick. As you guys can see from the title, this was a rough week for me. Actually, I think this was the worst week on a dollar amount that we've had so far, and that all came on Monday. As you can see on the agenda, we'll be covering how the vaccine news on Monday from Pfizer came out and spurred some sector rotation, which is great news for the world. Not so much for the growth stocks that I was trading at the time, but can't plan for something like that. Just trying to stick to your risk control. So tough week from the trading standpoint, but we'll be going over all of that. We'll cover how I'm dipping my toes back into the market after I was stopped out of basically all my positions on Monday. We'll cover NIO's blow-off top today and all the steps and factors that lead into a blow-off top. And that kind of already occurred today, but this is more so you can prepare yourself if you're in a really winning stock that's constantly ripping like NIO. Just some signals where you can signals so you can identify when to start locking profits, when to start setting up some tighter stops to make sure a big winner doesn't turn against you. We'll also be going over the stocks that I traded this week, what I'm currently holding, what's on my watch list, and anything that you guys want to see. If you're watching this after the live stream, I post the timestamps for all the stocks that we talk about in the comment section below. Along with that, if you enjoy the live stream, please leave a like on the video and comment below. Let me know how I'm doing. If you agree with what I'm saying, if you disagree, if I'm calling something out and I think something's a really quality setup and you notice something that I'm not seeing, please call it out. Please let me know, because then I'll avoid trading that and avoid possibly losing money. So we have a great group on StockTwits going. So if you don't follow me yet on there, follow me on StockTwits and Twitter. That's StockTrickNick on Twitter. If you're new to the stream, we do these live streams typically on Tuesday and Friday night, 7 p.m. Central. Today's going to be a little bit longer, and then the Tuesday one's more so just the stocks on the watch list. That being said, use the comment section of the video to bring any stocks that you want to see me cover later in the video. All right, let's jump to the market, and let me get this set up for you guys. All right, so really quickly going over what I'm showing here on a technical basis. We have the 200-day simple moving average. The yellow, red is the 50-day simple moving average. Green is the 20-day. This purple line is the 8-day exponential moving average. The two bands around the stock are the Bollinger Bands. That's just two standard deviations away from the 20-day simple moving average. We have the volume profile off to the right that I just added this week. That shows where the volume came in on each of the prices. And then below we have volume on a daily total along with the 50-day simple moving average for volume. And then we have the price relativity compared to the Nasdaq, the QQQs. I think that's everything on the chart, so let's just jump into this. So SPY, we gapped up huge on Monday when the vaccine news came out from Pfizer. Everyone kind of jumped the gun on buying. Everything's going to go back to normal immediately. And right at the market opened, kind of reality started to set in, and it just kind of pulled back the rest of the day. So as we're getting that sector rotation from the stay-at-home stocks, Zoom, Peloton, what else? Snapchat, those types of names, rotating back into the American Airlines, Carnival Cruise Lines, Boeing, etc. S&P 500 was kind of the middle ground between the Nasdaq, which was a lot of the stay-at-home stocks, and the Dow Jones, which was more so the stocks that were beaten down because of the virus. So S&P 500, you can see, kind of pulled back and then just bounced around. Did close at the new highest close ever, so that's good news if you have a long-term holding position. My 401k is in the S&P 500 for the most part, so glad that that closed higher. But not too much movement on there. So Nasdaq Qqqs we have next. You can see here, Monday hit harder. We opened up just slightly higher and then we pulled lower. On Tuesday, we undercut the 20-day simple moving average, but just kind of faded higher into Friday's close. So a little bit more compressed than S&P 500, but that's to be expected. A lot of the stay-at-home stocks are in the Nasdaq. Then Dow Jones. This is one. Similarly, this opened up wild on Monday, but has basically held that move up. And you can see this bounced off the 200-day simple moving average just before the election. I think this is the Friday before the election, and now it's up 13% in 2 weeks from there. So a really strong move in the Dow Jones, which I did not think I would say. Let's take a look at Pfizer really quick. So this is interesting. You can see they opened up extremely high on Monday with their news, and then they sold off the rest of the week. I think it came out that the CEO had sold a large portion of their stock, so that might be kind of bringing down the confidence of investors. But for CEOs to sell, they typically have to issue it well before the actual sale date. And then we got higher highs, higher lows today, maybe some support with the 8-day exponential moving average there. All right, let's jump back to the agenda. So that's the industries, or indexes, sorry, and Pfizer. Let's just, so the big hit on my account this week on Monday was QDEL, QDEL, which was a COVID testing stock. And you can see here it dropped down 30% or so. Yeah, 27% at the open. I got stopped out right at the open. I had about 6.5%, 7% of my portfolio in this, so did take a big hit there, about 2.5% loss just on QDEL. And that's not something that I could have predicted. I had no idea that the vaccine was going to show the effectiveness on Monday. Otherwise, I wouldn't have invested in QDEL, but this was a really nice setup. You see that strong breakout, pullback, and then that wiggle, break over the pivot. That's where I bought the stock. But you can't really protect against that. Same with how Fastly dropped 30% in a couple months or a month ago. Can't protect that against that. You can just use your stop, get out, take profits on the way up. Unfortunately, this wasn't really extended enough to take any profits, so I still had my normal, well, half my normal position size because I was still trading light. But happy that I didn't have more size in there, but can't really do anything against that news. You just got to move on to the next one. But that was a big loser for me on Monday. Next, we have Vsto. You can see this Monday candle got me stopped out. Let me see. I think I got trade history. What did I actually get out at? 21.85. I did get some major slippage on that exit, 21.86. Actually, no. So I put my stop right at the low of the previous day. That's where I got out. Did take some profits on the way up, thankfully, but another one that really hit me on Monday. AMTX, another one that got hit hard on Monday, got stopped out of there after taking a little bit of profit on Friday. Again, I was only, I think, like 45% net long invested on Monday. So the 2,000 that I lost was bad. It was the worst day I've had this year, but it could have been a lot worse. So sometimes your risk controls, you look at the P&L and you're like, I lost $2,000. Like that's terrible. My risk controls were terrible. But what you don't realize is your risk controls, well, mine, really stopped me from having a $4,000 loss day. And that's double the loss. That's 10%-ish of my account. Would have been really, really bad. So I'm glad I stuck to my risk controls. It sucked. It sucked on Monday. It sucked from a trading standpoint. worldwide, great news with the vaccine. So one of the few days that you're happy when you get a big account loss. So AMTX, you can see I got out when it broke under the previous day, was my 393, and then they had earnings dropped another 30%. So again, sticking to my stop losses, getting me out of trades when I'm wrong. I don't like being wrong, but I like taking the position off right when I'm wrong, because typically those stocks tend to fade even further. So that was kind of my Monday. A lot of, again, not large position sizes, not many positions on, but I did get hit pretty hard on Monday. The rest of the week, kind of traded flat, dipped my toes back in, but not too much. Right now I'm 13% net long invested, just slowly getting back into it. All right, let's go NIO. How many of you guys are holding NIO in the chat? NIO has been on a monster run. Let me just clear everything up. So NIO had the kind of typical blow off top and had a lot of factors leading into that. So a blow off top basically means a stock is breaking out, getting really extended, and then has one last jump to new highs before pulling back and creating kind of the candle that we saw today. But let's go over the factors leading into that, and so you can identify when you're in a really winning stock, a really strong winning stock, how you can take some profits just before that, or use that as kind of a signal to put some stop losses in to protect profits. So first off, NIO is extended off its fifth base now, I think. Let me count these again. 1, 2, 3, 4. There was one before that. Yeah, this guy. Shorter one there. So the longer, or the more bases that the stock's breaking out of, the higher probability you have of having a really strong pullback. So you can see this kind of broke out, the initial breakout from what, $3 to around 8, pulled back, broke out, that's your first base. Again, nice coil, breakout, that's your second base. Again, nice coil, breakout. So this is, again, holding super well, that tennis ball action that we like to see in breakout stocks. But you have 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth base breakout. Once you're past the fourth breakout, or fourth base breakout, you do start running that higher risk of a strong pullback. So that's the first factor. The second factor is typically when you see retail money getting in. I got a text from my cousin this morning seeing a lot of news about a stock called NIO today. That's when I knew we were in for the top, or at least short-term top. The earnings on Tuesday will play a large factor. But when you get retail investors, and my cousin's not into the stock market at all. He follows the channel every once in a while, but once you have people outside of the stock market, outside of trading, coming to you talking about a stock, that's when you know the big guys are starting to take their profits out as the stock's breaking out to new highs. How can you tell the big guys are starting to take some profits? You can see the volume extending here as the stock is extending. So what you like to see is the stock pick up large volumes on the first couple days of a breakout, and then have the volume on any pullbacks get really light. But you can see on the past couple days here, the stock's already been up 70-ish% from its last base breakout, and the volume's still just picking up. Had a couple days pulled back here, but this volume through here is nothing like how it gets on its previous pullbacks for base building. So when there's a lot of volume getting traded as the stock's already overextended since a previous base, typically that's the big players moving out from portions of their stock. Now, I don't think all the funds are liquidating their stocks in NIO. I think it has really good long-term I'm not going to say that. I think there's a lot of people following NIO and think that it has a future. So I don't think everyone's cashing in on their stocks now, but I do think a lot of big time players are taking some profits at this point as it's extended, because a lot of big traders also got hit hard on Monday, and NIO is a great way to kind of soften up their P&Ls on the week. So you have the fifth base breakout, you have retail investors coming in, you have large volume on a stock that's extended, and then the final one is the double gap day. So you saw this little pullback here, but then on Thursday we gapped higher at the open and pressed higher, and then on Friday we opened up with a gap of 6%. So the more gaps in the chart, the less support at those price ranges there are. So when it starts to go against you, you can see some rapid pullbacks. And then finally, we saw a break to brand new highs. Early morning, the volume was up very high relative to previous mornings. And then you did get the dip back. What did this fall from the high? Let's see, at one point. Down 25% from its high. Did find some support at the 8-day exponential moving average. And then you can also see on the volume profile here, some support through there, as this had maybe a tiny base right here. So if you were watching the stock, you could see that once it started pulling back here with the amount of volume after all the other factors, you could sell some into strength right there. Sorry about that. So that's NIO. They have their earnings on Tuesday after the market closed. So that also throws a wrench in all this. I have my earning strategy of only hold a position if I have a 10% profit. If you're holding from one of these bases, you definitely have the 10% profit, but always good to lock in some profit. If you're a trader, that's different. If you're an investor, you love days like this because you can invest when it's pulled back. But if it does pull back, you have the low of today as some support, and then low of the day as some support, and then also at the previous base, if it gets really bad, if earnings sells off big time, then you have around $30 more volume support and the base. So that is NIO. I apologize for all the buzzing. I don't know if it's like Amazon or something. Let's see. All right, let's jump back to the agenda. That is NIO and stock trades this week. So I'll cover the stocks that I'm currently holding now. First, we have APPS, and this was on the watch list from Wednesday's video. So let's zoom out here to get the full picture. Really strong market leader, up 570% at one point since June. Since the previous peak, it pulled back just at 40%. So that's typically my threshold on if we hold a stock or if we'll trade a stock after, because typically a 40% pullback, you're going to create a lot of overhead, a lot of traders stuck at these higher prices that when the stock does move back up, it's tougher to get through those areas because people are willing to sell at stop even or at their even. So then they don't have to say that they were wrong. They could just get out for break even. But what I really like to see is this undercut of the previous lows here. So if we're drawing that guy at the previous low, this long lower wick took out anyone who had stops even remotely close to the previous low. So all the traders are probably new traders at this point, or really strong holding traders that is not going to get shaken out with another pullback. And then you saw, I think this is through the election. Let's see, what did that, so that closed there. Moved up 51% in short order. So again, I wasn't putting on too much size leading into the election because that's too volatile for me. I'd rather trade when there's more certainty in the market. But this check move right up to all-time highs is what brought this back to my attention. Completely negated the 40% pullback, and now I was just waiting for a pullback to set this right back up. What we got was pullback down to the 50-day simple moving average, jumped back up. I saw this long upper wick and used that as my, I used that as my alert on E-Trade here, but I didn't really want to get too much exposure into the market, so I was basically just watching it and waiting for the close. The close, it closed just over the 8-day exponential moving average where the low found some support, so I picked up some shares right at the close, which is a little bit off of my typical trading strategy. Typically, I'll buy at the breakout point, but with all the breakouts that we've been seeing breaking out and then getting quickly sold off, I wanted to watch this into the close before I traded it. So picked up a quarter size position. So typically I'll trade 10% of my portfolio on each trade. For this, just 2.5%. And for my other positions right now, 2.5% as well. I'm just trying to put some feelers out in the market, get some traction before we put larger size on. So I like the close. It held above the 8-day exponential moving average. And we're over this volume shelf right here. So less traders stuck up top here that would be looking to get out. So that's APPS. Let me jump really quick into RH. I forgot to add this on the watch list, but I traded this breakout with this triple high points right through here. Let's see, trade history. So bought a little bit past that at like 397 I got filled at. Sold one share into the wick here and then got stopped out of the rest. This is what I meant by all the quality breakouts were getting aggressively sold off to soften up the P&L of other traders. You can see this is a perfect setup in times where growth stocks are running and holding their breakouts. This would have been a great one to get decent size on, 10%, 15%, whatever you're comfortable with. For me, I think I put 5% size on this. No, even less. I think it was like 3%, right? Only 4 shares. Yeah, so 3%-ish of my portfolio on it. And it just got sold off really quick. So that's a signal to me that this market is still not set up for the growth stocks that I like to trade. So trying to be very cautious trading right now. Today we got an inside day, held the breakout point as support now. So we'll see how that goes going into next week. Another stock that I traded in and out of has been CRSR. Had this going into Monday, got stopped out with the lower wick on Monday. Another attempt trading in here, got stopped out with the breakout under the previous low, and then rebought today with the break over the high. So this is, the choppy market is not great for breakout trading. So all these trades are very light, and I'm just basically doing a pilot buy to see, are we holding this move? Can I start adding on position size? But so far, no. Every pilot position I put on has been stopped out. But I do really like the setup. We're over the volume shelf. We're right back at all-time highs. So we'll see how this holds up for next week. We got NVTA. If you follow me on StockTwits, I called this one out. This was, I think we covered this on Wednesday too. So a strong move up, 230% since late June. Pulled back, I think this was like 30%, sorry. And then really quickly recaptured the previous price. And then this is, what I saw was showing kind of a inverse head and shoulders. So you have the left shoulder, the head, the right shoulder, and maybe now we take off. So I used the pivot point right here of the previous high of the mini rally right there as my buy point. it got moving a little bit, but then squatted. So when it squatted back down, closed under my entry point, I took half the position off, went from 5% to 2.5%. And today, just an inside day, very low volume, really nothing to say about that. If you're looking to trade the stock, you can use the high from Thursday of 49.79, maybe a break over 50, then that's the round number as well. You'd be over this volume shelf and hopefully back to all-time highs. So that's NVTA. TWST. This is one of the only stocks that has worked pretty well for me. So you see pull back to the 50-day simple moving average of 25%, instantly got bought right back up to create the cup, had a long lower wick to get any stops clear of the trade. So this long lower wick was exactly what brought me to the trade. And then I used the break over the previous high here as my entry point, kind of the cup and handle. That's not perfectly drawn, but got filled at 101.01 and then started taking profit quickly on the way up. So got some at 105, some at 110 off. Again, I'm doing basically what everyone else is doing, which is trying to lock in some quick profit, soften up my own P&L, get some traction. At this point, my stop loss is at my entry, so unless we get a gap down like QDEL, this is going to be a profitable trade, which is good because this kind of mentally coming back from a big losing day on Monday, it's hard to have the confidence to come back, to put some positions on because even before Monday, we've been having a lot of chop in the market. A lot of breakouts are getting sold off. The sector rotation has been quick, so I haven't had a lot of success since, I forget the last really solid week I've had. So right now I've been trading in kind of a trading rut. So having any types of win to just kind of get the emotions coming back, or the confidence coming back, and getting me set mentally for when the market does turn around, once we get some stronger trends, that I'll be in a good place, like emotionally, mentally, to put the pedal to the metal and start risking more size. So those are the positions that I'm holding. Let's see here. What are some stocks that we had requested? All right, CAT. If you guys are enjoying the stream, please leave a like and comment on how I'm doing. The likes, comments, all that stuff really help the YouTube algorithm push this to new traders. So I appreciate any of that. All right, let's see. CAT, C-A-T, very, very strong stock. Up about 100% from the lows in March, but in a strong uptrend. You got the 200-day coming back up. Let's see, what is the full picture on this guy? Are we at all-time highs? I think we are. Yeah, we're at all-time highs now. I like to do that too, just really zoom out and get the full picture of a trade setup. But yeah, this is really nice. You get a strong pullback to that 50-day simple moving average, only 12%. Quick check mark. See this choppiness? That's no good. You can't really, unless you're taking profits very quickly, that's not what you like to see in a trade. But we're back to a quality setup now. So if you're already in the trade, you can use the previous lows here as your stop, maybe for part of your stop. Otherwise, you have the 20-day simple moving average and then kind of this volume shelf as support on that. If you're looking to buy, there's really no pivots through here other than the previous high point as your buy point. Volume got quiet as we pulled back here, which I like to see. That means less sellers. So pretty solid setup. That's CAT. Let's go PRVB. This one is interesting because if we zoom out all the way, you can kind of see it. Some coiling action overall. But this is formed like a triple top through here too. So Two possible buy places is a break over Thursday's high of 1540. That would kind of clear you of the peak of this volume shelf, get you over the triple high right here, or breaking over the kind of downward resistance through here. If you want to be extra cautious, you could use the other high point here, but you can always use this to kind of scale in. Take a third position size here, third position size when you break over the diagonal, and then the remaining when you break over that guy. That's PRVB. Alibaba we have next, BABA. Kind of surprising with this chart because a lot of the Chinese stocks have been doing so well. But you have to look at this. Relative strength has been terrible. You see this down here. We're pressing onto that lower Bollinger Band as we expand downwards. You do have a volume shelf basically right where we currently sit, so some decent support there. I don't like to buy pullbacks like this, so I would be cautious, but I also probably wouldn't be shorting the stock right here either because you do have a lot of support through this range. Has a gap, so if we do start going and get some volume in, that gap should fill relatively quickly. That'd be a 10% move, so some things to watch there. But again, I don't like trading into a downtrend. You don't know how long it's going to pull down for, and there's so many stocks that are setting up setting up in the market that you can trade stocks that are just like nearly ready to break out instead of sitting around waiting for Alibaba. Next we have Datadog. Similar story here. Right now we are down 28% from the highs. Had a minor jump back, but found resistance at that 20-day simple moving average. And now we're just kind of in a downtrend through here. I would wait until we clear the previous high here to get any type of action in this. Even then, you have a little bit extra volume through there that you would need to clear too. So probably not a stock that I'll be trading anytime soon. And then on the downside too, let's see. Yeah, you have a little bit of support through here. That'd be another 12% move down, but then really, if things go like really poorly, I don't see this happening, but very thinly traded through here. But again, I don't see a pullback that strong. But you got to be prepared for that. Have your stop set so you don't turn a bad day into a very, very bad day. On the opposite side, good days, PDD. This is one that we had been watching on StockTwits to see how breakouts were holding. So let me kind of pull that away. Every time this broke out, it did so on volume, and then it pulled back to that 8-day exponential moving average, the purple line, on lighter volume. And then it would just break out, pull back, break out, pull back. And that's that tennis ball action with the right volume profile. You get volume picking up on breakouts, volume pulling back. So you get the picture there. And then when was their earnings? Earnings played a role in this, obviously, but this is one where if you got in on one of these pullouts or the breaks over the pivot, you had a 28% profit holding into earnings. So at that point, you can hold your position into earnings because even if earnings are bad, you're probably not taking it for a loss. Maybe you take some of the position size off just so you can lock in gains, but this is one where you have your profit, it's trending up, and then things really just explode with earnings, and now 78% since this buy pivot, since basically the first pivot you could have bought on October 14th. So really strong move up here. Probably sold some into strength here, but let's keep watching it. Maybe it flags out, creates another buy point for a move higher. But I'm not buying at this point. It's too far extended from the 8, the 20 day. We'll let the people that are in the stock pat themselves on the back. They did a great job. It's a big winner. But I'm going to be careful. I'm going to let it set up before I buy. Pfizer is next. FVRR. This guy has been all over the place. A lot of choppiness. I've tried to trade it. Got stopped out, and then it just took off on me. Then you get Monday's news, pulls back, undercuts some previous lows. So really frustrating market to trade in right now. If you're someone who sticks to strict risk controls and you're trading these growth stocks, you're not going to have too much success unless you really hit with PDD, NIO, some of those stocks. And if you did, congratulations, those are great. Pat yourself on the back. With this one, you see that undercut. So I do like the undercut of the previous lows, getting everything set up. What I would love to see is if this pulls back to create this as the pivot buy point, where, because this move from the low to the high today was already 38%. So to kind of reset the structure, I would love just a pullback probably to this support. You have the 20 day, the 8 day, and this volume shelf right there. So that should hold as support. Pull back through there, and then a break over the pivot of today's high would be my buy point. Really, it's a nice chart. I like it. It's just been really tough to trade. Let's see, VOXX. This is one I just saw on StockTwits, so thank you for recommending this one. Really solid chart here. So you see, let's just go all the way to the bottom to the top. What is it? It's 580%. So obviously something you want to keep your eye on. You have a base here, kind of a base there, a sloppy base there. But so 3 bases, 2.5 bases, whatever breakout. Let's see, what was that from there? So 75% from kind of the initial one. What did we pull back now? So we pulled back 28%, 30%, not violating that 40% rule that I have, but definitely undercut some previous lows through here. So you like that. That shakes out all the traders. We got one breakout, is that on Wednesday to 1240. Now that sets your pivot buy point, and then a pullback, and the close today held at the 8-day exponential moving average. So I'm looking at this as a possible buy point at this pivot of 1240, sorry. And that would also clear this volume shelf. So over there, very light volume through here. And you can see the breakouts came on heavy volume, minus this one candle of sell-off, but looks to be a solid setup. Had that tennis ball action that we look for. There's your buy point. So let's watch that going into next week. That's VOXX. ELI, come on. I don't know what's going on there. We'll skip that. MGNI. Yeah, so another interesting one. I don't like the 2 large red candles. This volume is a lot of volume coming through here. It was one of these. Okay, so that makes a little bit more sense. This one's going to be tough for me to buy. I do see that we pulled back to the 8-day or 20-day simple moving average, found some support there, and closed at a high today. But too much shaky action here. I'll let this maybe break out a little bit higher and then maybe set up with a pullback before I would look to buy. If you're already in it, you like the move today, you can use the previous day's low as your stop. That would be under the 20-day, and maybe put, let's see, what would that, that's 9%. That's tough. It depends on where you got in, honestly, but not something that I'll be looking to trade going into next week. I'll let this set up for a better entry point. All right, let's see. ELY. Was it ELY? I probably just wrote it down wrong. Yeah, okay, LOA. Got it. Thanks, thanks for that in the comments. So ELY pulled back. Yeah, I don't like that gap down. It's under its 200-day simple moving average. The 200 days in a downtrend now. I wouldn't trade that. I want the 200-day in an uptrend if I'm going to be trading. We're under a large volume shelf here too, so that's going to be a lot of resistance to push through. If this does get a bounce, if it goes up through here, you have this whole group of traders who got in at this point, who after a gap down will be likely to sell at least portions of their positions at break even. So not something that I would be looking to trade. Where do I get these stocks? A lot of the stocks are just commented to me on StockTwits. So I'm not finding all these, but want to go through the stocks that you guys want to see. Now on to my watch list. So let's jump to that really quick. I probably won't have time to cover all of these, but we have Apple, AMD, AMRC. Won't read the rest, but you can take a look at these guys. And I'll just quickly rip through all these. Let's see. Apple, we talked about on Wednesday. Really nice coiling action through here. You have the 8-day providing some support, 50-day and 20-day right there. Also the volume shelf, so a lot of support in this range, and a nice pivot buy point using the high from November 9th as your buy. That would be 121.99, so 122. So that would be my buy point. That would be also over this tiny volume shelf we have there. And then a move to the highs would be 13-ish%. I like the VCP action here. So volatility contraction pattern, 24% pullback, 14% pullback, and 6.5% pullback. Lowe's and Home Depot. I'll get to those after my watch list, but make sure you comment them once I get there. So that's Apple, AAPL, AMD. This one might need a little bit of time to set up, but pivot buy point would be on the high from the 9th of 87.05. So kind of similar action. Let's see, pullback of 22%, pullback of 16%. And the third of 10%. So each of those pullbacks getting tighter and tighter. That's what you like to see. Volumes getting very light through here. So what I would need to see is a break over this high to get things going. But that's AMD. AMRC. Really strong movement through here. Again, I think we covered this one on Wednesday as well. Has created another shorter pivot using Thursday's high now that we had lower lows, lower highs today on very light volume as the 8-day exponential held. So I like that move because that creates a lower pivot to buy at. So 44.89. If you want to be a little bit more careful, you could use the high 45.53 from November 9th as your buy as well. But you kind of got a little handle there. Then you're breaking out to all-time highs. That's AMRC, ANAB, breakout of about 100% in short order, then has moved sideways, volume getting lighter through there. At the lightest it's been the past couple days, which you love to see. That 8-day exponential moving average is holding super well. So now what I'm using is the high from November 4th of 31.29. So 31.30 would be my buy point on this guy. Let's see how that would work. You got the 200-day starting to be in an uptrend. We're over all the moving averages. High tight flag through there. CTIC, CTIC, breakout of 225%-ish from here. I tried to buy it once, got some off and sold the rest, probably break even trade there. Undercut on this day, reset everything up and now we're starting to fade a little bit higher. Let me get this big volume day off so you can see the relative volume. Super, super quiet volume. What I'm looking for is a break over the highs here of 360 as the buy point. So that's, and that is also the high of this day. Yeah, 360. So you have 2 daily highs here as your pivot points on November 3rd and October 23rd. That's CTIC, ENPH, got a breakout of 67% from a little VCP action through here from late September. Pulled back to the 20-day simple moving average. Let's see, what was that pullback? 17% only. So kind of a sloppy cup and handle forming here, but the pullback today creates that pivot buy point from Thursday's high of 122.26. Volume getting lighter in the handle. That's what I like to see. So let's see if we can break out over there. Strong name. If you zoom out all the way, this has been a really strong winner. What is it up all the way? So at one point up 630% since the beginning of the year. So this is ENPH, sloppy cup and handle, got through earnings, and now set up for a nice pivot buy. Let's go EXPI. Zooming out, we're over the 200-day. That's in an uptrend. What I'm careful with this one is this a head and shoulders pattern? We'll see. Because of this pattern, you're only buying when we're breaking over what would have been the right shoulder. So not this pivot buy point. I want to be a little bit more careful with the shape of the graph there. So I'll be using the high from earnings day. That would be 51.40 through there. And then once you're over that, you see volumes, the volume profile super light there. So not many traders are stuck up top here. So I like that one, but might need a couple days to get over that. That would be a 12% move. That's EXPI. LPRO. One that I'll just be watching for because the volume through here, unless, yeah, this was earnings, so it's tough, but I like to see the volume as quiet as possible at the breakout point. Earnings kind of throw that in a loop, but you see it did jump right back up after undercutting a lot of the previous lows there. Didn't undercut this guy, which I would have loved to see, but we're now right back up at previous highs, created basically a triple top through here. So a break over all-time highs, and that could be your buy point. That's LPRO. MCRB, we definitely talked about on Wednesday. I've been stalking this trade, getting everything set up. This guy, really strong move, 620%. Has held it well. Had that little wave action, the VCP through the breakout, but then had earnings kind of reset it, and then it took off. Got 31% through there, and then now you got the cup, you got the handle. So using the high from November 6th of $36 as my buy point on that guy. That's MCRB. NET just had earnings. I had been watching this after a strong move up through here, was 81%, pulled back down from the high there, only 18%, so really strong on a tighter pullback, and then had earnings, gapped up, had that long upper wick through there, but put 40% from kind of the lows of the pullback, and is now set up a pivot buy point using the two highs from the day after earnings. So the high on 11/11 was 66.14. The other high is 66.08. So right there would be a nice buy point if we get the break on Monday. That's NET. PEN. A little bit more sloppy, but you see a large cup handle that had a long lower wick, undercuts all those previous stops. and then has pulled back today to set the trade up a little bit better. Lower volume on the pullback, which I like to see. 8-day held as good support, so using the high from Thursday as a buy. It's PEN. RPD. Zooming out, you got the 200-day just starting to be in an uptrend. The thing I liked about this was it's over its previous highs, kind of creating a triple top through there. So now resistance becomes support as it pulled back, found some support at that previous high point and jumped up. So now I'll be looking at the high point from the third day after earnings of 70.24. So let's see what that can do. I like the action here. Volume's lightening up in this tiny handle that it created here. That's RPD. Snapchat, SNAP, a trade that, again, in normal market time, when a vaccine doesn't show great efficacy on Monday, this was a perfect breakout on Friday with a volume uptick over the pivot point right there. Unfortunately, unfortunately for people that were trading Snapchat only, not the world's health, this pulled back on Monday. Got stopped out of the position there. And then, I got stopped out of the rest the next day as we undercut the lows from that day. But since then, 20-day simple moving average has held as support, pulling back through here. Had an inside day on lighter volume, so now using Thursday's high of 41.80 as a possible buy point. Two more to go on my end. SSTK, Shutterstock. This is one that I traded with a little VCP action. That was my buy point using the previous high there. You can see I sold some in his strength, and then market was acting funky, so got out, unfortunately, of the rest just before earnings. It popped up on earnings and now is kind of creating maybe a cup and handle through here, but did have an inside day today, held the 8-day exponential moving average. Very light volume coming through here. So a possible buy point over Thursday's high of 70.29, call it 70.30, and then you add to the position with a break over all-time highs of $71.97 or $72. That's SSTK. And last but not least, TTD, the trade desk. Really strong. I was watching it through this pullback thinking, okay, 8 days holding. Okay, I pulled down a little bit. Let's see if the 20 days hold. And then we broke down, so that negated the trade. And then broke out going into earnings. Obviously, earnings were stellar. And now has pulled back a little, had a tiny bump up and another pullback day, creating a really nice pivot buy point using Thursday's high point here of 761.92. Volume on the 2 down days, very, very light. You like to see that as well. So let's see if we can kind of get a pullback buy on this guy. All right, what were those 2 stocks? One was Lowe's, L-O-W, right? Lowe's. Throw it in the comments so I don't miss out on this. But obviously, strong stay-at-home stock that got beaten down on Monday, but 200 days still in an uptrend. Monday's pullback did undercut some previous lows. No pun intended. What I'm going to be careful about here is we rallied up to the 8-day exponential moving average, but you always want to look at what stocks rebounding the strongest. And there's already some stocks that had pulled back on Monday that are set up, ready to break over either all-time highs or break over pivot points. This one is really having some trouble. You see large volume right through there. That's going to be a lot of overhead to get through, and you have the 8-day exponential moving average. So until we close over that, and I mean, honestly, I'd probably wait till we get over the volume shelf here using kind of this pivot as a high, as a buy point. Otherwise, you might see another breakdown. Monday should be pretty telling. Monday after the first hour should be pretty telling. Are we going to be pushing higher into the 20 and the 50 day, or do we break under the previous low and then retest the lows here. And then Home Depot. Similar story, better than Lowe's. So if you're going to buy one, Home Depot looks to be a little bit stronger, showing better relative strength. 850 or 820.50, all right there. But we're in the middle of this, so it's going to be really hard to get any traction, basically in either direction. You also have earnings coming up on the 17th, so not going to be trading into earnings. All right, so let's take one more. Can someone let me know? I see Trill had unconfirmed earnings today. Were there earnings actually today? That's the only reason I didn't trade this stock, because it set a really nice buy point with the previous highs through here. I had this on my watch list, but I saw earnings. I didn't think to trade that, but got really nice move through that, even if it did have earnings today. Really solid, 200 days in an uptrend. You can see I did try to take this trade on a quick kind of pullback buy there. Did not work. But this is off to the races now. So let's see if we can break over the previous highs on here. All right, that's all I have time for, guys. I have an actuarial exam next week on Friday, so please wish me luck. Leave a like to help me out. I do have my note cards to go over, so unfortunately I won't be doing a live stream on Tuesday, and chances are Friday I'll be celebrating that I'll be done with the actuarial exam. So we're gonna push the live stream trading recap to Saturday. I'll do a Saturday morning one, and then just link out to you guys if you're not there. So I won't be trading a ton next week. I'll probably put some stops on the positions that I do have, not look for many new trades so I can focus on these guys. So hope you guys have a great week next week. Hope the market doesn't run without me, but if it does, I'll get back in. Have a great week. Please leave a like. Follow me on StockTwits and Twitter, and